Bakar, it's been 10 days since we last spoke. We're up now, the 3rd. It's 2 days to deadline day, and you need to tell me your latest draft. Has much changed since we last spoke? I assume it has. There's ever-evolving news in pre-season.
Of course, nice to see you, John. We live in a world where with every passing day there's new news, especially after the Community Shield. Things do change, but my draft, as you know, the core of my draft hasn't changed much since the first day when FPL launched, which was almost a month ago, which is nice that I have a hopefully I have a clear head regarding where I want my team to be and where it's at. And I have a fair idea of who my selections are going to be as we head into game week 1.
Cool. Well, look, let's go straight in with your goalkeepers. Who's starting for you and who's the backup?
Ramsdale is my first choice keeper. I'm very bullish on him this season. I think he's the 5 million goalkeeper to get. You know, historically, we don't tend to start with the 5 million goalkeepers. We tend to go with the 4.5 ones because we tend to spend less in defense. But I just think this season FPL have priced the premium goalkeepers at a point where that 0.5 million extra is worth the upgrade over someone like a Sanchez or a Raya. And I just think there's enough gulf in quality that you'll see between these keepers that it warrants the extra 0.5 million. And Arsenal have great fixtures to begin with. They've looked excellent in preseason. Their defense looks great. Salah's come in. He's been a very good addition to the squad. And I firmly think that Arsenal will keep a sizable number of clean sheets this season.
Yeah, Ramsdale looking great. Were you tempted to go for either Alisson or Ederson at 0.5 more? Probably more so Ederson, with the Liverpool slots likely taken up.
Yes, to be honest, but I think over the first 7 or 8 game weeks, I expect Arsenal to keep plenty of clean sheets as well. So I don't think there will be a huge difference between the two.
Amazing. And have we got a 4 million as the backup? Probably.
Yep. A few days ago, this wasn't a clear-cut option. Now, when we're recording this 2 days before the deadline, Danny Ward has actually emerged as the 4 million keeper to go with, because Kasper Schmeichel is apparently on his way to Nice and he's leaving Leicester. And Brendan Rodgers has been very complimentary about Danny Ward in his press conferences, and he said that he has the ability to take up the number 1 position and they don't necessarily need to sign a first choice. So 4 million keeper in FPL, what more can you ask for? I think this is a very solid combination to begin with.
I completely agree. We'll start your defense and we'll go in terms of most template to least template. That's the order we want to go in, just in case there is a rogue option that's leading to the end. So who's first up? I imagine it's that little Scouser.
Absolutely, it's Trent. I don't think I need to explain further. Top for chances created, big chances created, XGI per 90 last season. Has the pedigree to do well, has the fixtures. No brainer.
Absolutely locked. And who's number 2?
Cancelo. I mean, City, their fixtures from game week 2 to 5 are absolutely incredible. You know, you look at their fixtures, they're playing Bournemouth, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Forest in that run. And Cancelo, I think, is very explosive. He was top among defenders for shots in the league last season. And I just see no reason not to pick him because he's very explosive. I think he's worth the extra 2 million over someone like a Walker, or the extra 1 million over Diaz, just simply because he has that explosive potential. You know, his creativity is decent as well. He was 3rd for big chance created among City players last season. So I just think it's a lock for me.
Absolutely locked. Yeah, he was just like a mini Trent in a sense. He scored lots of points. He was only 6 or 7 points behind, I think, over last season. So yep, those two locked in many a team. Who's your 3rd defender?
3rd is Robertson. So I've doubled up on the Liverpool defense. I just think that Robertson is the pick from Liverpool over someone like a Diaz or Nunez. You look at the positions he was taking up in the Shield, and you know what I'm talking about. I mean, he was getting into incredible positions, looking very fit going forward. And just the way I look at it is that I do think that Nunez will do really well, but I'm not really sure whether he has a higher ceiling than Robertson to begin with. And because his expected minutes are a bit questionable, I think Robertson is the player to go for, because with the top sides, John, I tend to pick players who are nailed and who have the highest upside. So I think Robertson has significantly higher upside than Diaz, and I think he's in equal upside than Nunez, but his expected minutes are much better and much more certain.
Yeah, no, I like it. Those 3 are nailed in my draft too. I like them. I can't fault them. So who's your 4th pick?
My 4th pick is Reece James. Now, I see quite a few people going off Chelsea defense because of the shenanigans in preseason, but
Hmm.
I think James is firmly in my squad, and he hasn't actually left since game week one, since the first day of FPL, when I started drafting for game week one. He has the, after Trent, he is the second best XGI per 90. Plenty of double digit hauls last season. And what has sealed his spot for me is the fact that Tuchel will basically be playing a wing back system. So there were rumors that he could move to a back four this season, but that experiment horribly failed after they lost against Arsenal 4-0 in preseason. So he's back to playing five at the back now, and James is likely to start as the right wing back, and in that position he's absolutely incredible. So I just think he has that potential to hit big scores.
Yeah, we've seen it before from him, and I'm sure we'll see it again. The fifth player, is he going to be starting or a sub?
That's Perisic, actually, the fifth player. I've gone big at the back.
Big at the back. Yeah, I like it.
I don't think he's going to be a sub in my squad. I think he's going to start the Southampton game. In fact, I was reading up on the Spurs forums. I was chatting to a few Spurs fans, and the overwhelming consensus among them was that Perisic is too good a player not to start, and that they expect him to start because Conte has to give him minutes to get him back to fitness. There's no better opportunity to do so in a game versus Southampton. And in the friendly, he looked incredible as well. And you look at his historic numbers, in the Serie A and in the Premier League, how Conte's wing backs have been. I have no doubts regarding his potential. I personally think that Perisic will score the highest number of goals among all defenders this season. So if I'm that certain about someone, then I would rather put my money where my mouth is. So at this point in time, I have Perisic in my side.
So big at the back. Before we've even touched midfield or forward, you spent 42 million. So let's have a look at midfield. Who's your first midfielder?
Mo Salah, captain against Fulham, has scored in each of the previous five opening day fixtures. I don't think there's anything else to add.
It's Mo Salah. He's in every team. I'm getting sick of trying to come up with something. Mo Salah, there he is. He has to be in your team. He doesn't have to be in your team, but he probably does. So Mo Salah's locked. Who's your second mid?
My second mid is Martinelli. As I said, Arsenal have looked razor sharp in preseason. Martinelli himself has looked very threatening. He's been making those runs as an inside forward from the left, and his average position is right up there. And he had like 3 assists against Sevilla in the latest preseason friendly. The only doubts you have regarding Martinelli in the past are that Smith Rowe is hanging about, but as it is, Smith Rowe hasn't featured that much. He's only played 45 minutes across Arsenal's whole of preseason, so I don't think he's a factor right now at all. And Martinelli is safe to start the first 3 or 4 fixtures at the very least. At 6 million, he's easily the best midfielder you can go in the price bracket. And even though Saka is on penalties, I think Martinelli offers that 2 million saving and allows you to add a lot of depth in your squad.
Love it. Emile Smith Rowe was the thing I was throwing at people for a long time, but still hasn't featured in pre-season. So Martinelli at 6 million is away into that Arsenal team who've done so well. No brainer. Who's the third pick?
Third pick is Pedro Neto from Wolves. I've got him because Wolves have a decent run to begin with. Neto himself has looked very good in preseason. He's had 5 attacking returns, and Wolves have actually scored more goals in preseason than they did combined in the first half of 2021-22. So they've had a decent preseason. And Neto has looked good. I was actually, I've watching the preseason highlights for Wolves, and in the couple of games I watched, he was making those runs in behind, playing on the left, and he was looking very threatening. And he seems to be a player in form, and he's saying all the right things as well. And at 5.5 million, I don't think you can go wrong. And with those kind of fixtures that Wolves have, I think Neto is a decent option to begin with.
Those fixtures are stupid, Leeds, Fulham, then Tottenham's an iffy one, but then Newcastle, Bournemouth, Southampton, and then up to Liverpool. So yeah, some cracking fixtures in the first 5 or 6 games there. So I imagine we're on the subs in midfield, a couple of 4.5s, or have you got a 5 million in here?
I have Bailey as my fourth mid. As I said, what I like about this squad is the depth that it has. And one thing I'm wary of with Bailey, John, is that you never know in if he doesn't start well, there's a chance that he could get dropped. So if you're picking Bailey, I would prefer to have a 12th player, right? And the squad allows me to have a 12th playable player. Anyways, coming to Bailey, Villa have a great run of fixtures to begin with. And Bailey has been incredible in preseason. He's been, registering attacking returns in almost every game. And Gerrard has been, he's been praising him, and he's saying that he's come back a different player. Bailey himself says that, this is the real time where I'll show what my real level is. I was crippled with injuries last season where I couldn't, deliver as per my potential. And he does have a history of doing well in the Bundesliga as well. And when you look at Villa's fixtures, Bournemouth, who are basically without centre backs to begin with, and then Everton in game week 2. So those first two fixtures are really good. In case Bailey does well, he's going to rocket in prices when the casuals see
Yeah.
that there's this guy who's doing well at 5 million. So, I mean, when you combine all these factors, I think Bailey is an excellent pick.
Well, if you're a casual and you're watching this video, you're probably thinking, geez, Bakar just called me a casual. What can I do to change that? You can sign up to Fantasy Football Hub. There's 50% off at the minute. And if you don't want to sign up, still click the link in the description, head over to Hub, and you can go over and use the My Team tool and you can build it. And if you were to do that, you would see, if you sort it by 5 million midfielders, that Bailey is expected to score the most points over the first 4 game weeks at that price point in that position. So this can really help you pick your team if you haven't paid as much attention as you wish you had of. Okay, on to your 5th midfielder. Who are we looking at? A 4.5?
I think Andres Pereira is a standard 4.5 mid in the price range, because he has been playing behind Mitrovic and supporting him, and he's been on set pieces in preseason for Fulham as well. And he's had a couple of assists to his credit. I just think he has the highest potential among the 4.5 mids to do well. Hopefully, I don't ever have to play him in my squad, but in case of emergency, in case there's an unexpected injury or a player of mine misses out due to rotation, I think Pereira is an excellent filler to come in, because I won't be surprised if he got a few returns here or there.
Absolutely. And of the 4.5 mids, he is predicted to score the most points over the first 4 game weeks according to this algorithm. So that's always nice. We'll start with your cheapest forward. Do you want to tell us who your cheapest forward is, and we'll work our way up?
It's Greenwood from Leeds. It's because of the fact that Jesse March very recently has talked him up and said that he's very adaptable. He can play number 6, number 8, number 9, number 10. So there are plenty of positions where he can play in. And to be very honest with you, this is like the 15th slot in my squad where I don't have to look at, hopefully, if things go all right. I think that this is what you want. I mean, in case you need a player, you can maybe come off from the bench and nick a goal. At least he's going to get some minutes.
Great pick. I think he's the only one of our 4.5 million forwards predicted to get any minutes. I think there are a few there who might get some Archer maybe at Villa, but time will tell. But this is probably the least interesting pick of the day, so I won't waste more time. You've 19.5 million left, so I could probably guess who you've got, but I won't spoil it. You can do that for us. Who's your second priced forward?
It's Jesus. 7 goals in preseason, the most that any player has managed in the league in preseason. I think it's a bit of a no-brainer now that he's owned by 71% of managers at the time of speaking. It's absolutely crazy, and he's looked electric. Arsenal have the fixtures. They've passed the eye test. So this is another pick who's not going out of my squad. So very, very certain on Jesus.
Yeah, he's the most owned player in the game for a reason, and
Yeah.
Big Man owns him
He
too.
just he just seems like that kind of player who plays for a top 6 sides, and he just comes in at 8 million. It's almost like you're getting a premium option for 8 million.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing that the thing I've noticed across this team is the consistent value picks, and he's just another one to add to the list. And that leaves you with 11.5 million in the bank, which means it's one of those two guys, Harry Kane or Erling Haaland, the eternal question of FPL 22-23 game week 1. No one knows the answer, but what is your answer to the question?
This is a tough one to answer if you ask me. I am firmly on Haaland though. I have been since the game launched, and I still am. Despite the shenanigans of the Community Shield, I saw him miss chance after chance, but I like the fact that he got 90 minutes, which was crucial. And if he is able to accumulate an XG of 1.5 plus against a solid team like Liverpool, you can only imagine what he'll do through the rest of the league. You look at the City fixtures from game week 2 to 5, and you probably think that they're going to win by 4 or 5 goals in each game. That's how many chances they create. And one thing which was very obvious to me was that Haaland was the focal point, and given the silly amount of chances that City create, Haaland will get plenty of opportunities to score. I'm not saying that Kane is a bad option. He's an excellent option for game week 1 against Southampton. But I just think that Haaland in game week 2 against Bournemouth, who are basically without centre backs, is a prime fixture to miss out on. And it's not an experience I want to go through where I don't own a City attacker against Bournemouth and have to watch that fixture. And it's his ownership is another factor as well. He's owned by like almost 50% of the game. So when you take all those factors into consideration, I just think that Haaland is the pick, simply because you have to pick a City attacker with those fixtures, and with the mids not really being reliable for expected minutes, Haaland is the pick.
Okay, I like it. You know, you've all but convinced me. I've been Harry Kane all pre-season, but that sort of speech and the fact that I'm going to the game that Haaland's playing in against West Ham, is it a bad move for a lot of people to pencil in a transfer? Because I'd be thinking, well, why don't they keep Kane versus Southampton and just go to Haaland in game week 2? Is penciling in a transfer just bad strategy or a bad decision?
It's something I wouldn't recommend because it's not ideal. Essentially, when you look at it, it's Kane versus Southampton versus Haaland versus West Ham plus 4 points, right? So it's basically Kane having to score one goal just to break even. So I don't think it's worth it. Booking in a transfer is not worth it. If you want to pick Kane, sure, go for it. He's a good pick, but then stick with him, right? That's what I'm going to say. Then stick with him throughout. If you back him, then back him for the first few fixtures.
You'd probably, if you back him, you have to back him through Chelsea maybe, and then up to game week 6 where they play Fulham before the City game.
Yeah.
Okay, Bakar, obviously your team submitted into the My Team series is top of the table. It can't be beat, but for a bit of fun, I put this draft in to see what it turns out at. You're currently sat on a 96% rating, but you've Trent Alexander-Arnold on the bench. The $1 million question, who are you benching in game week 1? Neto, Bailey or Perisic?
This is a $1 million question for me to answer as well. I think this is going to be a late decision. If I'm picking one right now, I think I'd probably bench Neto, just because he plays for Wolves. Other than that, I don't really have a reason to bench him because he has a perfectly good fixture where I expect him to do well as well. But I'm happy to take the bench points on the chin because I'm happy to have that extra bit of flexibility where I can pick a 12th player later on, so I don't mind.
Well, I've stuck Neto on the bench, brought Trent in. You were on a 96%. We have Salah captain, and I'm going to scroll up here to reveal your current team rating. Bakar, it's only a 99%, mate. It's only a bloody 99%. What is going on there? Jeez. I hope one of our late contestants don't see this. I could well steal this and plug it in. 99% of a team rating. That is absolutely obscene. The highest I've seen on and this isn't involved in the series, thank God, otherwise no one's beating you. But you happy with that?
I hope the boys can deliver on the grass, John.
Yeah,
I mean,
so look,
it's fun to do the talking, but I mean, the boys on the pitch, they have to talk the walk, right?
We've talked the talk. The boys need to walk the walk. 99%, absolutely massive. If you want to see Bakar's final team reveal, follow him on Twitter. The handle is on the screen. And if you want to go over and get your team rated for game week 1, head over to the link in the description, pop it in for free. And if you do decide to sign up to the site, there's 50% off at the minute. And if you don't win your mini league, you'll get your money back. There's T's and C's that do apply. See you later. Bye-bye.